Chapter 11 Guhan's first soul ring target, Holy Light Golden Dragon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Guhan hit level 10, he shared the news with Bibi Dong. She got right on it. After setting up a time, Bibi Dong, along with Ju Douluo Yuguan and Ghost Douluo Mei, prepared to escort Guhan to the soul hunting forest in the back mountains for his first soul ring. This soul hunting forest, while technically the same thing, was way bigger, boasting a wider variety of soul beasts and longer cultivation periods than the one near Nodding City. Think of the Nodding City forest as a small patch of woods. The soul hunting forest behind Spirit Hall sprawled across several mountain ranges, including all the forests nestled in between. It teemed with tens of thousands of soul beast types, with cultivation periods ranging from 10 to a staggering 10,000 years. Holy Dragon, come on out. Entering the vast forest, Guhan, standing before Bibi Dong, Ju Douluo, and Ghost Douluo, summoned his holy dragon martial soul. A burst of blinding golden and purple light erupted. There it was, about a meter long, a bit on the chubby side, covered in light purple and white fur, yet sporting numerous fine golden dragon scales. Its head was dragon-like, but it had round, oversized ears. This was the holy dragon martial soul, complete with a short tail, a mouthful of sharp teeth, bright golden eyes, and two tiny bumps on its head. Luluo. Despite its transformation, the holy dragon happily cried out Luluo when summoned and ran to Guhan's side, rubbing against his legs. It really looks more and more like a baby dragon. Ju Douluo Yuguan couldn't help but comment on the holy dragon's current appearance. Bibi Dong, with a gentle smile on her face, asked, Xiaohan, have you decided which soul beast you want for the holy dragon's soul ring? Teacher, the specific soul beast doesn't matter too much, I think. I just need a soul beast for the holy dragon that has strong light attributes, pure dragon blood, and a cultivation level I can handle. From what I've read in the central library, the chosen soul beast significantly affects the martial soul. The characteristics of the soul beast have an impact on the martial soul. For example, if a plant-based martial spirit absorbs a soul ring from a highly poisonous spirit beast, its toxicity increases. If it absorbs a soul ring from a highly resilient spirit beast, its resilience increases. I want a dragon soul beast with high light attributes and pure dragon blood for the holy dragon. Absorbing its soul ring might help the holy dragon take another step forward, developing even more dragon-like features. Guhan explained. You want a soul beast with light attributes, pure dragon blood, and a manageable cultivation level. Bibi Dong, holding her papal scepter with an air of elegance, glanced thoughtfully at Ju Douluo Yuguan, prompting him to bring out the soul hunting forest map. As the Spirit Hall's personal soul hunting forest, they naturally had a detailed map of its vast terrain and the soul beasts inhabiting it. The map detailed various terrains and locations, as well as the soul beasts living in each area. Including those with strong cultivation and bloodlines, dragon soul beasts with light attributes were rare and powerful, so of course Spirit Hall had records. Under Bibi Dong's guidance, along with Ju Douluo Yuguan and Ghost Douluo Mei, Guhan began his search. As they moved through the complex forest, Guhan saw various light attribute, dragon-blooded soul beasts. There was the bright dragon horse, the bright holy dragon python, the holy light dragon ape, and the six-winged glowing dragon falcon. However, while these soul beasts had sufficient light attributes, their dragon blood purity was lacking. Guhan wasn't quite satisfied. After learning about all the suitable dragon soul beasts in the forest, Guhan narrowed it down to 3 targets for his first soul ring. A 400-year-old holy light golden dragon, a 400-year-old bright-winged dragon Jiao, and a 300-year-old bright sun dragon eagle. However, all 3 could fly, as top predators. They didn't have fixed habitats and roamed widely in search of prey. If they couldn't find them, Guhan would have to settle for a soul beast with slightly lower dragon blood purity, but still with light attributes. But luck was on Guhan's side. Leveraging his understanding of the spirit beast's habits, Bibi Dong led Guhan, Ju Douluo Yuguan, and Ghost Douluo Mei to help with the search. Finally, on a towering cliff, they found the holy light golden dragon, around 400 years old, living in its lair. This was Guhan's preferred target for his first soul ring. 5th soul skill, Ghost Shadow Pool Hand. 5th soul skill, Gathering of Haning. Although the Holy Light Golden Dragon was a true dragon, with light attributes and pure dragon blood, even at only 400 years, its combat power rivaled a 10,000-year soul beast. A 10,000-year soul beast is on par with a soul emperor. This 400-year-old Holy Light Golden Dragon was equal to a soul emperor. Unfortunately, it was ambushed by 3 powerful tidal Douluo at once. Bibi Dong cut off its escape route, and Chrysanthemum Douluo Yuguan and Ghost Douluo attacked simultaneously, severely injuring it. With a wail, the Holy Light Golden Dragon plummeted, bleeding profusely from wounds inflicted by the Qirong Tong Tian Chrysanthemum's sharp petals. It crashed to the ground, dying in a pool of its own blood. Xiao Han, finish it off and absorb its soul ring. Bibi Dong handed Gu Han a sharp long sword, instructing him to kill the dragon and absorb its soul ring. Gu Han took the sword, took a deep breath, and walked steadily towards the giant before him. Reaching the Holy Light Golden Dragon, he plunged the sword into its eye, ending its life. As it died, yellow light spots poured from its body, eventually coalescing into a yellow, 100-year soul ring above its corpse. Under Bibi Dong's instructions, Gu Han sat cross-legged next to the dragon, closed his eyes, and began the Holy Dragon's skill to pull in the soul ring. The Holy Dragon came to his side. As Gu Han activated the skill, the 100-year soul ring was immediately drawn over and attached itself to the Holy Dragon. Chapter 12, Holy Dragon's First Soul Skill. Bibi Dong is dejected, Yu Xiaogang is outdone again. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Deep in the soul-hunting forest, behind Wuhun City, the Holy Light Golden Dragon's soul ring found its place on the Wuhun Holy Dragon. A surge of intense soul power erupted from the ring, flooding into Gu Han. Fortunately, the Holy Light Golden Dragon was only 400 years old, plus, Gu Han's month of practicing the Holy Dragon body forging method had significantly improved his physique. He might not have been fully grown, but he was definitely tougher than other kids his age with beast spirits. The Holy Light Golden Dragon's soul ring's power was well within his limits. Soon, Gu Han absorbed the soul ring without any trouble. In a nearby clearing, he slowly opened his eyes, a dazzling golden light shining out, piercing the darkness. He was immediately struck by the changes in the Wuhun Holy Dragon. Its fur had turned completely golden, the fine golden dragon scales had increased, its once chubby body was now agile, and its slender tail was covered in new scales. Its head was more draconic, the bulge on its head was bigger. Most impressively, a pair of golden dragon wings, covered in scales, had sprouted from its shoulder blades. They were tiny for now, smaller than its floppy, cattail leaf-like ears, but the growth of wings was a huge leap in the evolution of the Golden Holy Dragon martial soul. Adding to the spectacle, a yellow, 100-year soul ring spun around the Holy Dragon's body. Xiao Han. Congrats on becoming a soul master. Want to try out the Holy Dragon's first soul skill? Bibi Dong, her beautiful face softening with a smile, greeted him, but seeing the soul ring around the Holy Dragon instead of Gu Han, she couldn't help a little sigh. Normally, after a soul master absorbed a soul ring, it might attach to the martial soul temporarily, but it ultimately settled at the soul master's feet. There were exceptions, though, like her former sweetheart, Yu Xiaogang, but that wasn't a good thing. Yu Xiaogang had to put the soul ring on his martial soul, Luo Sanpao, for it to launch a fart attack. Seeing the ring around the Holy Dragon, Bibi Dong couldn't help but wonder if the Holy Dragon's first skill was also farting. Gu Han had no idea what she was thinking, but he was eager to test out the Holy Dragon's first soul skill. It couldn't be farting, right? As someone who'd figured out the right way to evolve the Holy Dragon martial soul, Gu Han believed Yu Xiaojiang's Luo Sanpao farted because it had absorbed a thunder attribute dragon soul beast's ring, but really, Luo Sanpao's sad state was due to Yu Xiaojiang's lack of talent, which kept the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex from evolving into the Golden Holy Dragon, and eventually devolved into Luo Sanpao. At its core, Luo Sanpao held the essence of the Golden Holy Dragon. Instead of strengthening that essence with light attribute rings, Yu Xiaojiang chose a thunder attribute one. It not only failed to empower the Golden Holy Dragon bloodline, but actually contaminated it. Of course there were problems with the soul skill. Unlike Yu Xiaojiang, Gu Han chose a light attribute dragon soul beast for his first ring, so he should be good to go. Standing in the open, bathed in darkness, Wuhun faced the now golden holy dragon and prepared to activate the first soul skill. Roar! With a mighty roar, the first soul ring around the holy dragon lit up, and its entire body radiated golden light. Opening its mouth, golden energy gathered into a sphere, condensing in front of the holy dragon martial spirit. The sphere shot out like a grenade, hitting a tree about as thick as a bowl and exploding, instantly snapping the tree in half. Not bad. Ju Douluo Yueguan and Ghost Douluo Gueme were impressed. The holy dragon's first skill might not have been super powerful, just typical for a high-level martial soul, but considering the holy dragon only had an innate soul power of 0.25 level, this much power was actually quite impressive. It's not farting. Bibi Dong was almost in disbelief. Why? Why were Xiaojiang's Luo Sanpao's first and second soul skills farts, while Xiaohan's was a normal attack skill? Both were degenerations of the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit. Xiaojiang's Luo Sanpao had absorbed the spirit ring of the thunder-attributed dragon spirit beast like a normal blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex spirit master, so why did he obtain the spirit skill of farting? Shouldn't Luo Sanpao, like Xinglong, transform towards the dragon spirit and evolve towards the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex after absorbing the spirit ring of the thunder-attributed dragon spirit beast? Bibi Dong was conflicted. She'd initially planned to make Wuhun a stand-in for Yu Xiaogang, someone to comfort her when Yu Xiaogang wasn't around, but Wuhun, the replacement, was turning out to be so amazing. In every way, he was surpassing her sweetheart, Yu Xiaogang. But Xiaogang was a master of martial spirit theory. He'd read so many books and had so much knowledge. How could he be outdone by a kid who wasn't even in school yet? Bibi Dong couldn't accept it. If Yu Xiaogang wasn't an exceptional martial soul theorist and a knowledgeable scholar, did that mean she'd been blind when she fell for him? With the first soul ring secured, Wuhun had successfully become a soul master. The trip to the soul hunting forest was a success. Still, Wuhun felt a twinge of disappointment. In the hands of a true protagonist, he should have gotten a soul bone from hunting the holy light golden dragon, but he hadn't. Even with a system, he wasn't one of those overpowered, lucky, invincible protagonists. Back in Wuhun City, Hulaina eagerly greeted Wuhun upon his return. Xiaohan, you're back. What soul beast did you hunt, and what's your first soul skill? Chapter 13 Enrollment in Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the Douluo Continent, Soul Master's soul skills were generally kept secret, but that was for outsiders. Close friends and teammates often shared. For a Soul Master team, sharing soul skills was essential for perfect teamwork, so Wuhun didn't hesitate to answer Hulaina's curious question. His holy dragon's first soul skill was pretty basic anyway, a simple energy blast, nothing special. Sis, in the soul hunting forest, I found a holy light golden dragon, about 400 years old. It was light-based, with incredibly pure dragon blood, almost like the real deal. My soul skill? I call it Holy Light Roaring Bullet. It's basically a condensed ball of holy light energy that I shoot. Packs a decent punch. And it does double damage to dark and evil-aligned soul beasts. Wuhun explained, looking at the slender figure of his senior sister with her short, golden hair and charming face. Holy Light Golden Dragon. That's awesome. Hulaina was genuinely happy for him, knowing he'd snagged such a powerful bloodline for his first soul ring. Hey, sis, got a question for you. Now that Hulaina was here, Wuhun wanted her advice. The Soul Master Academy in Wuhun City was about to start. There were 3 academies, Junior, Intermediate, and Advanced. Wuhun, at 6 years old and level 11, could choose between the Junior and Intermediate academies. He was torn, and Hulaina, being a seasoned pro, was the perfect person to ask. He wanted to get the inside scoop. Which academy should I go to? I'm thinking you should pick the Junior Soul Master Academy, Hulaina said after a moment of hesitation. Her face, as always, was gorgeous. Honestly, there's not a huge difference between the Junior and Intermediate academies. The teachers are just more experienced and the curriculum is different. And as for resources, you have a teacher taking care of that. So, Junior or Intermediate, it doesn't really matter in that department. But, dude, you haven't even been to regular school yet. The big thing the junior academy has is the basics, stuff like continental history, math, geography, and who's who in the power structure. That fundamental knowledge is super important. The intermediate academy focuses on soul master stuff, which you can always learn later. But if you skip the basics, you're gonna be lost in the soul master world. Hulayina's point was clear, the junior academy would give him the foundational knowledge of the continent and the soul master scene, setting him up for future adventures, otherwise, he'd be wandering around without even knowing the map. The intermediate academy was all about combat skills and soul master knowledge, which he could pick up later, as someone seriously concerned about getting offed by Bibi Dong down the line. Guhan figured the junior academy was the smarter play. Teacher Bibi Dong was already providing training resources, junior or intermediate wouldn't make much difference in that area. So he might as well prep for his future escape from Wuhun city. Before he knew it, the opening day of the academies arrived. With Hulayina by his side, Guhan arrived at the Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy. The place was huge, the whole academy was surrounded by white walls with gold trim, and there were trees, fountains, courtyards, classrooms, and clock towers all over the place. It looked super impressive. Hulayina led him into the academy. They headed to a classroom building and entered an office. This was where registration happened. Nana. What are you doing here? Inside, teachers were registering students, testing their skills, and assigning them to classes. One teacher, a tall, middle-aged man in a black robe with gold embroidery, looked surprised to see Hulayina. Director Ling, I'm bringing my little bro to register. You gotta take good care of him. Hulayina wasn't intimidated at all. She just smiled playfully. Little bro? All eyes turned to Guhan, with a strange look. They knew about him, alright, they didn't hate him like the younger soul masters, but they weren't exactly fans either. He was just a soul master with a measly 0.25 innate soul power. His talents sucked. The fact that Pope Bibi Dong had taken him as a disciple rubbed these teachers the wrong way. Who wouldn't be jealous? It was like studying hard for years, only to realize you're not as famous as that random celebrity who never even went to school. Hard to swallow. Is this the Pope's new disciple? He's certainly a handsome young man. Director Ling, being politically savvy, quickly recovered and complimented Guhan's looks, but for Director Ling's praise, the other students in the office, overhearing Guhan's identity, were filled with jealousy and resentment. Is this the lucky loser? His 0.25 soul power is practically useless. And this dude gets to be the Pope's disciple. God is blind. Humph. Handsome, huh? That's all he's got. Did the Pope pick him for his looks? I'm not bad looking either. Just you wait. Enjoy your fame while it lasts. Looks aren't everything. We soul masters care about talent and power. Just wait until he summons his martial soul and gets his skills tested. The truth will come out. Chapter 14. This martial spirit is wrong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy, Registration Office. Director Ling couldn't help but compliment Guhan's handsome looks, especially with Hulayina accompanying him, but this praise sparked jealousy and resentment among the other new students registering. Hey kid, you're Guhan, right? I'll call you Xiaohan then. Summon your spirit and let's test your soul power. I'll get your information registered and figure out what class to put you in. Director Ling smiled, beckoned Guhan over, wanting to see his spirit and test his power. Xiaohan, show Director Ling your spirit. Hulayina smiled charmingly, encouraging Guhan to summon it. In the past 3 months, Guhan had become Bibi Dong's disciple because of his 0.25 innate soul power. Almost everyone in Wuhun City was consumed by jealousy and hatred toward junior brother Guhan. However, Hulayina had seen that junior brother Guhan's place as Bibi Dong's disciple wasn't just luck, but due to his own talent and ability. Without anyone knowing, junior brother Guhan had shown signs of evolving the Wuhun Holy Dragon. That was no easy feat. Hulayina believed that if Guhan summoned the Holy Dragon spirit here, it would definitely shock Director Ling, the other teachers, and all those who looked down on him. Hearing Hulayina's words, Guhan decided to show them and summon the Holy Dragon spirit. In a flash of golden light, a creature about a meter long appeared. With a body like a dog and a pig, covered in golden hair, with large patches of fine dragon scales. And a round head that resembled a dragon's, the holy dragon, with its golden eyes, mouth full of sharp teeth, 2 bulges on its head, a pair of round ears like palm leaf fans, and 2 pairs of small golden dragon wings on its back, stood before Guhan. What is that? Director Ling, the other teachers, and the new students were stunned. What kind of spirit was this? Wasn't Guhan's spirit supposed to be a purple piglet? But this, while still a bit chubby, was clearly a powerful sub-dragon spirit, and it had wings. Nana! Why does Xiaohan's spirit look like that? Is that really his? Director Ling, in disbelief, pointed at the holy dragon and turned to Hulaina for answers. Hulaina smiled proudly. Director Ling, you've all been fooled by rumors. Xiaohan's innate soul power is low, only 0.25 level, but the teacher didn't choose to accept him as a disciple because of luck. It's because Xiaohan's spirit is special, a unique variant, and Xiaohan is incredibly talented. Using the spirit's characteristics, he actually found a way to make it evolve. That convinced the teacher, and that's why she chose to accept Xiaohan as a disciple. This is the result of Xiaohan's hard work over the past 3 months. What? Guhan had figured out how to evolve his spirit. This shocked Director Ling and the other teachers, looking at Guhan again, their jealousy and contempt lessened, replaced with admiration. Spirit evolution was legendary, that Guhan could find a way to evolve his useless spirit was genius. However, among the new students, some were impressed by Guhan's talent in evolving the Holy Spirit Dragon, losing their hostility, but others remained hostile. They believed the Pope must have given Guhan something special to make the Holy Dragon change. Guhan couldn't have done it himself. They refused to believe that Guhan had found a way to evolve his spirit. Spirit evolution was just a legend, it didn't exist. Even if a way existed, kids like them couldn't find it. Come and test your soul power. Still amazed by the Holy Spirit Dragon, Director Ling took out a dark blue crystal ball for testing and handed it to Guhan, but Guhan shook his head. Director Ling, I can't use that crystal ball. Can't use it? Director Ling was confused. Then Guhan summoned a spirit ring. A yellow spirit ring rose from Guhan's feet, surrounding him, and Director Ling gasped in shock. Soul Master. You're already a Soul Master. Was the effect of this spirit evolution that obvious? How could he be a Soul Master? The new students were in disbelief. How could someone with only 0.25 level of innate soul power become a Soul Master in 3 months? It was impossible. However, among the new students, some were even more indignant when they found out that Guhan was already a Soul Master. They believed Pope Bibi Dong had given Guhan precious spiritual medicine and treasures. That was the only way Guhan could break through to the Soul Master level in 3 months. If they had those treasures, they'd be even better than Guhan. They needed to let Her Holiness know that useless people would always be useless. They couldn't let Her Holiness be deceived by someone like that. Name, Guhan. Age, 6 years old. Spirit, Holy Dragon. Level 11 Soul Master. Xiaohan, you're talented enough for Class A1. After registering Guhan's information, Director Ling assigned him to Class A1 of the first grade. This was where the most talented geniuses went, enjoying the best teachers and training resources. After assigning Guhan to Class A1, Director Ling asked if he lived on campus or was a day student. Then he gave Guhan the Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy uniform and told him to wear it when school officially started tomorrow. Guhan could go to the first grade Class A1, to get familiar with the environment and meet his classmates today. The head teacher of the first grade Class 1, was expected to arrive today as well. Chapter 15. A provocation that is late but not absent. The main point is that one can bend and stretch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy. After Guhan successfully enrolled, Hulaina went to register at the Wuhun City Intermediate Soul Master Academy. She dropped Guhan off at the door of Class A1, and prepared to leave. Xiaohan, this is Class A1. Go inside and get to know the place and your classmates. I'll see you at noon. that they stood in front of the first floor of a classroom building. Hulayina smiled brightly, her face radiant. She reached out and patted Gu Han on the head, then she gave him a kiss, waved, and turned to leave. Satisfied, Gu Han wiped the spot on his cheek where Hulayina had kissed him, his face calm. He was used to Hulayina's way of showing affection, it was just a kiss. She often hugged him and squeezed him tight. Too bad he was still just a kid. He hadn't even hit puberty yet. Otherwise, he'd show her what it meant to play with fire. He watched Hulayina disappear from sight, then Gu Han turned and headed into Class A1. He arrived at the classroom door. It was a spacious classroom, neatly arranged and brightly lit, with about 30 desks and chairs. Only a dozen students were there, so it wasn't crowded yet. Hey! Dude, are you in Class A1, too? My name is Wang Hao, my spirit is the Holy Tiger of Light, my innate spirit power is level 7, and I'm from the Barak Kingdom. What's your name, your spirit, and where are you from? As soon as Gu Han walked in, a kid in white clothes, with golden hair and a confident look, came over, acting like they were old friends. Gu Han. Hold on, dude. We barely know each other, right? It felt like an interrogation. Ignoring Wang Hao, Gu Han found an empty seat, but Wang Hao followed him and sat next to him, saying with envy. Okay, I get why you don't want to tell me your name. We just met. But you must be super talented to be in Class A1. We're both talented, but you look way better than me. If I were as handsome as you, all the girls in Baihu town would be chasing me. Can we be friends? My sister would totally dig you. If I introduced you to her, maybe she'd stop picking on me. What do you say? Hearing Wang Hao's words, Gu Han's mouth twitched, and he felt like his brain was shrinking. Dude, we haven't even bonded yet, and you're already trying to pimp me out. You could at least describe your sister first. If she was a hot tiger girl, maybe he'd help him out, but if she was a battle axe, he was on his own. At that moment, in the classroom, not far away, two boys sat side by side. One, dressed in a golden suit with short golden hair, was handsome and effeminate. The other, in a black suit with short black hair, had a cold demeanor. They looked at Gu Han, scrutinizing him with curiosity, as if they recognized him. Suddenly, footsteps echoed. A tall, stocky kid in a black suit with a bloody bare head, muscular and fierce-looking, walked in with a chubby kid with green hair and another with red hair. Gu Han frowned. He had seen them in the office when he had signed up. They didn't seem to like him much. The leader, with his blood-red hair and intense presence, quickly spotted Gu Han and walked over with a sneer. Gu Han. Finally, there are no teachers around. I've been waiting for this. Okay, you got lucky tricking the Pope and got some benefits. In just 3 months, you went from almost no spirit power to a spirit master. Impressive, but the Pope's just favoring you. Any of us could have done better. You think you can keep fooling the Pope? Not on my watch. Today, I'm calling you out. The kid with blood-red hair sneered and reached for Gu Han's collar. He wanted to drag him up and teach him a lesson. He wanted to prove that even if a nobody got lucky fooling the Pope and became a spirit master, he'd still be trash. He wasn't a spirit master yet, but as the owner of the blood demon Crazy Bear spirit, he was physically strong. Even if Gu Han was a spirit master, his spirit couldn't even be summoned. Just look at Gu Han's skinny body, he could take him down with one punch. The little bully was starting a fight over nothing. He thought Gu Han had scammed Bibi Dong and wanted to expose him. Gu Han was speechless, but he wasn't going to back down. He was flexible, but he was now a spirit master and practiced the holy dragon body forging technique. His physical strength might not be as good as a spirit master with a top beast spirit, but he wasn't someone to mess with. Did he think he was Yu Xiaogang? Gu Han grabbed the stocky kid's hand and said coldly. I know you're jealous that the teacher took me in, but you weren't so lucky. Maybe look inward instead of getting grabby, okay? Grabby? I'll beat you senseless. The kid didn't listen. He roared and swung his other fist at Gu Han, but Gu Han was ready. He blocked with his left hand, clenched his right fist, and punched the kid in the face, knocking him back. The kid flew backward and crashed into the wall. Boss Xiongchuan, that the green-haired fatty and the red-haired kid cried out anxiously. Seeing Xiongchuan go down, Gu Han knew it wasn't over. He stood up. You pissed me off. That even though his face was covered in blood, Xiongchuan was still ready to fight. He was enraged, his eyes bloodshot. He roared and stood up. After wiping his nose, he charged at Gu Han again, but Xiongchuan, not yet a spirit master and unable to summon his spirit, was no match for Gu Han, who was already a spirit master and trained in the Holy Dragon body forging method. Gu Han beat him down. The other students saw it all. They knew Xiongchuan had started it, so nobody intervened. Gu Han, you dare hit me. You're a spirit master, I can't beat you, but my brother's also at the Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy. He's a 5th year and already a soul master. Just you wait. After being beaten and bruised, Xiongchuan, supported by his 2 buddies, roared angrily. He shook off their support and turned to find his older brother, Xiongba. Gu Han frowned. This was just going to escalate, but there was nothing he could do. Because of his low spirit power talent, he was accepted by Bibi Dong as a disciple. In Wuhun City, many people were jealous and resentful. Xiongchuan was just the first. He could only deal with it. If he could win, he'd fight. If he couldn't, he'd retreat. With Bibi Dong and Hulaina on his side, he didn't think anyone stronger would force a fight. The key was to be adaptable. Chapter 16 Class Teacher, Mendichris. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dude, you're not just good looking, you're seriously strong. That Xiongchuan guy was huge, towered over me, but you took him down easy. After Xiongchuan stormed off with a bruised face, Wang Hao was practically buzzing around Gu Han, totally awestruck, and in the classroom, the other students, boys and girls alike, were looking at Gu Han differently now. The locals, who knew all about Gu Han's supposed situation, were especially shocked. Turns out, he wasn't a useless nobody like they thought. The out-of-towners, recruited for their talent and sent to Wuhun City, were just plain curious. They'd overheard Xiongchuan saying Gu Han was taken on as a disciple by the Pope, but according to Xiongchuan, Gu Han's natural soul power was practically 0, so how was he a soul master now? Was there some kind of miracle cure that could boost someone's power like that in 3 months? No way. I'm a soul master now. If I can't even handle another soul master, I might as well pack it in. Gu Han thought. Yeah, my natural soul power isn't great, but that's not everything. If you find the right way, your martial soul can evolve, and that'll naturally improve your abilities. There's a saying, and even though the guy who came up with it is a jerk, it's still true. There's no such thing as a useless martial soul, just useless soul masters. That when Wang Hao kept bugging him, Gu Han figured he might as well be friendly. He was a bit of a goofball, but harmless. So, he answered casually. Hey, Gu Han, Xiongchuan said you're the Pope's disciple. What's Bibi Dong like? Seeing that Gu Han wasn't denying it, Wang Hao got all excited, asking about Bibi Dong with obvious anticipation. Gu Han answered each question. While he was talking, he kept glancing out the window. He knew Xiongchuan had probably gone to find his soul master brother, but Gu Han decided not to run. Leaving now would avoid a confrontation today, but what about tomorrow? Or the day after? Some things you just gotta face. Gu Han figured he could handle whatever came his way. He was Pope Bibi Dong's disciple, after all, and senior sister Hulaina was fond of him. He doubted some random soul master would try anything. If he did, senior sister Hulaina would hear about it. She'd probably get Xia Yu and Yen to come help him out tomorrow. A few minutes later, footsteps echoed in the hallway. 4 figures stopped at the classroom door. Leading the pack was a young guy in black clothes, tall, muscular, and sporting a short, blood-red haircut. Trailing behind him were Xiongchuan and his 2 buddies. Which one of you is Gu Han? Using cheap tricks to fool the Pope and bully my brother Xiongchuan. Get out here. Standing in the doorway, Xiongba folded his arms and glared. Gu Han stood up calmly. You must be Xiongchuan's brother, right? You think I tricked my teacher into taking me on? Are you saying you know better than her? And about bullying your brother, sorry, but everyone in here saw it. Your brother started it, not me. He's right. He's right. We all saw it. Xiong Chuan attacked Gu Han first. Wang Hao chimed in, already acting like Gu Han's best bud, asterisk this kid's got a silver tongue, asterisk Xiong Ba thought, annoyed, he couldn't say he knew better than Bibi Dong, that would be an insult to the Pope. His dad would probably beat him senseless. Don't twist my words. I didn't say I'm smarter than the Pope. I respect her a ton. I just can't stand seeing a nobody like you become her disciple. You don't deserve it. Xiong Ba snapped. So, my brother attacked me, but he's got the bruises? I was just defending myself. You should apologize to my brother, or let him get his revenge. Don't make me come in there and drag you out. What's the big deal about beating up my brother, a soul master? If you're so tough, why not fight me, another soul master? I told you, your brother started it, I just fought back. It's not my fault, and I'm not coming out. Come get me if you dare. Gu Han shot back, a sly smile playing on his lips, he wasn't going anywhere. Leaving would be admitting guilt, it'd give them something to hold against him, sure, he was unpopular, but Bibi Dong was his teacher, and Hulaina was his senior, as long as he was in the right, no one could mess with him. And since Xiong Chuan was in Class A1, he must have a top-tier martial soul, so Xiong Ba probably had the same. Gu Han had trained his body to become a soul master, but his martial soul was very ordinary and not for combat. As for his training, he still needed more experience. Gu Han figured he was no match for a soul master with a top-tier martial soul. Sometimes you just gotta play it smart. Since he knew he couldn't win, Gu Han was sticking to the high ground, refusing to back down or fight, let them come in and drag him out, if they could. Gu Han's stubbornness infuriated Xiong Ba, he lost it, stormed into Class A1, and charged at Gu Han, ready to avenge his brother. Hey, Xiong Ba, you're an upperclassman. You can't just barge in here and attack the little guys. And Gu Han's right. We all saw it. Xiong Chuan started it. Suddenly, a sweet voice spoke up. A kid with short, golden hair and delicate features stood up to intervene. Yue Kong, hearing the voice and seeing the boy, fear flickered in Xiong Ba's eyes. Xiong Ba knew of the boy. Yu Kong was a little younger, but his brother, Yu Ling, was his age. They were both in the 5th grade, but in different classes, but Yu Ling was equal in combat power to Xiong Ba. Unexpectedly, Yu Ling's brother, Yu Kong, was sticking up for Gu Han. Xiong Ba was caught in an awkward spot. Just then, a cold, authoritative voice cut through the air. What's going on here? Xiong Ba, shouldn't you be in the 5th grade? What are you doing in 1st grade Class A1? Looks to me like you're bullying the younger kids. Everyone, including Gu Han, turned to see who was talking. A fierce-looking man walked into the classroom, hands clasped behind his back. He looked to be in his 30s, wearing a black short suit. He was tall, and under his shoulder-length hair was a cold face. A scar across his cheek only added to his menacing aura. Teacher Chris. Xiong Ba's face paled. Damn it, the head teacher for Class A1, this year was the infamous Chris. Chapter 17 1-Year Agreement. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Wuhun City Junior Soul Master Academy, 1st grade, Class A1, the head teacher, Chris, entered the classroom, and even though he wasn't particularly large, his cold face and dominating aura instantly silenced Xiong Ba. Just then, a handsome, almost feminine-looking blonde boy named Yu Kong, who Xiong Ba had mentioned earlier, approached Gu Han. A black-haired boy with a cool demeanor walked beside him, and Yu Kong said in a slightly effeminate voice. Gu Han, you probably don't know who our teacher really is. He originally had 7 levels of innate soul power and was considered a genius. But his martial soul, the Bronze Gate, is incredibly unpopular. It's not a combat weapon, nor is it a good support. It's just, weird. So, he was always overlooked in Wuhun City and even ostracized at the academy. But then, for some reason, he decided to become a powerful offensive soul master. After becoming a soul master and graduating from Advanced Soul Master Academy, he joined the Holy Light Angel Law Enforcement Team. They hunt down rogue and evil soul masters and maintain order on the continent, super dangerous work. He faced death countless times fighting those guys, but he always pulled through. Those battles gave him incredible willpower, animal-like instincts, and amazing fighting skills. He learned to understand the martial soul. With that understanding, he figured out how to properly develop the Bronze Gate martial soul. After reaching the Soul King level, he won 100 straight victories in our Spirit City Spirit Fighting Arena. He stayed with the law enforcement team for 15 years before quitting last year. He's one of the longest-serving members the Holy Light Angel law enforcement team has ever had. Even the Pope awarded him the Medal of Justice. Plus, Chris reached the Soul Emperor level at 32. Only top geniuses can do that. He could totally become a titled Douluo and an elder in the Spirit Hall. Achieving that level with only 7 levels of innate soul power means he's highly regarded and supported by the higher-ups in Wuhun City. Everyone respects him. Even someone like Xiaogang, whose family is connected to Elder Demon Bear, wouldn't dare act arrogant around him. Because Chris won't put up with it, Yu Kong couldn't help but smirk. "You're Yu Kong, from Elder Ju's family. Why are you helping me?" Guhan had only met Ju Douluo Yueguan and Ghost Douluo Gueme a few times. He was surprised that Yu Kong would speak up for him. He frowned and asked. Uncle Yueguan told me about you. He thinks you've got great potential and talent. I know there are rumors, but I trust my uncle's judgment. Yu Kong replied with a soft smile. Uncle Ghost too, the quiet, black-haired boy added. Guhan figured that he must be from Gue Douluo Gueme's family. Meanwhile, Xiaogang realized just how famous their teacher was. They called him the Gate God among rogue and evil soul masters and, in Wuhun City, they called him the Gate Emperor because of his Soul Emperor cultivation. Chris wasn't being overly aggressive, but Xiaogang still felt a little nervous from his cold, killer aura. Teacher Chris, you've got it all wrong. I'm not bullying anyone. Someone's bullying my brother, so I'm standing up for him. Xiaogang told Chris his version of the story through gritted teeth. Chris just put his hands behind his back, a mocking smile playing on his lips, and his heart was full of disdain. He could hear the holes in Xiaogbang's story from a mile away. He knew there was a lot of BS in it, but he decided to look at Guhan instead. Guhan was the lucky guy with only 0.25 innate soul power who had somehow been accepted as a disciple by Pope Bibi Dong. Chris had heard the rumors. Of course, in his heart, Bibi Dong wasn't just the Pope, but also his guiding light, the goddess he admired. She was the one who had encouraged him and told him that anything was possible if you worked hard enough. That's why Chris had decided to become a powerful offensive soul master. But even so, Chris wanted to prove that Bibi Dong had made the right choice in accepting Guhan as a disciple. He wouldn't take Guhan's side. Instead, he said coldly, "That's just your side of the story. I bet I get different answers if I ask them. You're older than Guhan, and you've got more experience. I know you might not be happy that he was accepted as a disciple by His Holiness the Pope. But if you want to prove he's a waste, you should give him some time, right? He just awakened his martial soul. You're older and stronger, and you're picking on the weak. That doesn't look good. If you really want to prove to His Holiness the Pope that he's no good and you're better, give him 3, 5, even 7 years. Then you can fight again. If he's not your opponent after all that time, then he's not worthy of being accepted as a disciple by His Holiness the Pope." Chris's tone dripped with sarcasm. Xiaogang frowned, feeling offended. Is he really qualified to be accepted as a disciple by His Holiness the Pope? Is it normal for him to defeat me in 3 to 5 years? I've got the innate 8th level soul power. My martial soul is the blood demon Crazy Bear. You're not even taking me seriously, are you, But in front of Chris, Xiaogang clenched his fists, his face flushed, but he didn't say anything. Teacher Chris, it doesn't need 3 to 5 years. 1 year is enough. After 1 year, I'll fight him, and I'll prove to the whole of Wuhun City that I, Guhan, am worthy of being your disciple. Guhan saw that Chris was speaking up for him, giving him 3 to 5 years to grow, but Guhan, as a transmigrator with a system, had his own pride. He stood up and said in a deep voice. 3 to 5 years. That's way too long. 1 year is more than enough. Chapter 18. That beautiful figure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A year? Chris frowned. He hadn't expected Wuhun to say just 1 year. He turned, scrutinizing the boy, asterisk, is this kid really that confident, star. Asterisk, or is he just talking tough, star. Xiaogang has the blood demon crazy bear martial soul and started with a soul power of level 8. Now he's an 18-level soul master. Wuhun should be able to reach great soul master in a year, but he only started with a soul power of 0.25. Chris didn't know how the Pope had done it, but Wuhan's martial soul had evolved, and he'd become a soul master after only 3 months of training, but his martial soul, as Chris understood it, was a beast martial soul that couldn't be possessed, and it was tiny. Even if he became a soul master, how much combat power could it give him? In a year, even if he ranked as a great soul master, he probably still couldn't beat Xiaogang. Still, Chris admired Wuhan's courage, his desire to prove himself to all of Seoul City and to show that he was worthy of being Pope Bibi Dong's disciple. After Xiaogang took Xiaochuan away, Chris called Wuhan out. In a forest, Chris stood with his hands behind his back, looking off into the distance. He said casually, Wuhan, are you mad at me? I could have protected you as the head teacher of Class 1A1, and stopped Xiaogang from bothering you, but instead, I had you make that 1-year agreement. I wasn't completely on your side with this. Are you upset? Wuhan smiled slightly and replied respectfully, Teacher Chris, not at all. If it weren't for you, I might have been forced to fight him right then, and I'd probably be black and blue right now. You gave me a few years to grow, and I'm grateful for that. You could have shielded me, but that wouldn't solve the problem. Everyone thinks I'm not good enough to be the teacher's disciple. Even if you protect me at school, they'll still come after me outside of school. The real key is for me to get stronger and prove that I deserve to be her disciple. Then the rumors will stop. I'm not talented or strong now, but I know that'll change. I'll only get better and better until even Xiaogang can't touch me. Give me a year, and Xiaogang won't stand a chance. Wuhan clenched his fists, a confident smile on his face. Good. Chris was pleased. He smiled with satisfaction. I'm starting to think you really could be the Pope's disciple. You're so confident, but not full of hot air. Since you feel that way, study and train without worrying. In the academy, I don't care about squabbles with kids in your class, but I won't let any of the older students bully you. After the agreement was made, the news spread through Seoul City Junior Soul Master Academy. Everyone had something to say about it. Wuhan, with his 0.25 starting soul power and a mutated spirit that can't be possessed, actually dared to challenge Xiaogang to a duel. That's a joke. Even if you gave him 10 years, he wouldn't stand a chance. Exactly. The Pope can give him special treatment and somehow get him to the Soul Master level and into Class A1, but a loser is a loser. You can't polish a turd. A year? That's nothing. We'll see. Most of the students at Seoul City Junior Soul Master Academy were dismissive of Wuhan when they heard the news, believing that even after 10 years, he'd still lose. Many were eager to see Xiaogang beat Wuhan into the ground in a year. Hulaina anxiously found Wuhan when she heard. Wuhan, why make a 1-year agreement with Xiaogang? He'll be a great soul master in a year. You don't know if you can even break through to that level in that time. Plus, Holy Dragon is still so weak. How can you beat him? No way. I'm taking you to the teacher to cancel this agreement. Hulaina grabbed Wuhan's hand, ready to ask Bibi Dong for help. But Wuhan shook his head, smiling. Senior sister, you have to trust me. I went from 0.25 to Soul Master in 3 months. Why can't I become a great Soul Master in a year? Holy Dragon hasn't finished transforming and is weak now, but I think a year is enough for him to grow a lot. Just give me a year. I'm confident I can defeat Xiaogang. Wuhan's confidence came from the Holy Dragon Kung Fu and the Holy Dragon Body Forging method. A year, with the holy dragon constantly eating the flesh and blood of light attribute dragon soul beasts, the feedback of blood force, soul force, and life force should be enough for him to practice the holy dragon body forging method to some degree. As long as he cultivates his qi and blood, he'll have the strength to fight Xiongba, with the help of the holy dragon. Beating Xiongba wasn't impossible, and in this year, even though he was in Seoul City, based on the information that Bibi Dong had been on the throne for 3 years, Tang San should be around 3 years old now. It'd be hard for Gu Han to change the plot and have a real impact on the trajectory of the world to get Tianyan points, but it wasn't impossible. If Gu Han could get a few more Tianyan points this year, he could deduce some martial arts. Wouldn't that make it easier to beat Xiongba? Gu Han was sure of himself, as if infected by Gu Han's confidence. Hulaina asked, Xiao Han, are you really sure you can beat Xiongba in a year? Seriously, don't lie to me. Of course, Gu Han smiled confidently. All right. I'll believe you for now. Hulaina sighed and chose to trust Gu Han, but thinking of the fight in a year, her beautiful face broke into a sly grin. She clenched her fist, waving it in the air, and said, Don't worry, I'll bring my brother and Yen to help you. If you can't win, I'll have them stop the fight, and I won't let Xiongba bully you. See how good your senior sister is to you. After she finished, Hulaina laughed and ruffled Gu Han's hair. Time flew by. Half a year passed in a blink. In that time, Gu Han finished reading every book on martial souls and soul masters in Seoul City's central library. At school, he studied what the teachers taught while studying on his own in the library. He'd finished all 6 years of coursework early, and he ranked first in every subject, but topping the cultural courses didn't give Gu Han any glory. Instead, it just caused jealousy and scorn at the Seoul City Junior Soul Master Academy. In this world, strength came first. Because of his performance in cultural courses, Gu Han could often ask for leave. Later, he stopped going to those courses much. In the morning, he fed the holy dragon flesh and blood of light attribute dragon species and spiritual herbs. At noon, he went to the Pope's palace library, and in the evening, he trained at home. His life was fulfilling. One day, while reading in the Pope's palace library, Gu Han spotted a beautiful figure. It was a blonde girl who looked 12 or 13 years old. Her long golden hair fell over her shoulders, her eyebrows were arched, her nose was straight, her lips were rosy, her skin was whiter than snow, and it was incredibly delicate. On her angelic face, she exuded a sacred and noble aura. When Gu Han noticed her, the girl was standing in front of a bookshelf, quietly flipping through books. Sunlight streamed through the windows outside the Pope's palace and landed on her face, making her look like an angel on earth. Chapter 19, Getting to know Qian Renxue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Was that Qian Renxue? Even though he'd never met her, Gu Han instantly recognized her. Her beauty, coupled with her divine and noble air, left him a little speechless, but Gu Han wasn't shallow, not the type to freeze up just because of a pretty face. If this was Qian Renxue, it meant she hadn't left Wuhun city yet, hadn't started her infiltration of the Tiando imperial city as Prince Xue Qinghe. Could he influence the future of the Douluo Continent and score some Tianyan points by affecting Qian Renxue now? Despite the strategic angle he was taking, seeing Qian Renshue's breathtaking face still stirred something in Gu Han, a sense of peace, of sheer beauty. He wanted to freeze the moment, hold on to it forever. No butterflies, exactly, but seeing her in person triggered this odd, powerful urge to just spend his life with her. Could this be love at first sight? The thought surprised Gu Han. He'd already met stunning women like his teacher, Bibi Dong, and his senior apprentice sister, Hulaina, but Bibi Dong, even if she'd once been innocent, had hardened after the Chamber of Secrets incident, becoming ruthless and unpredictable. Even Yu Xiaogang hadn't foreseen Bibi Dong wiping out his entire family for revenge. Gu Han wasn't about to get tangled up with that. He'd stick to being a diligent, obedient disciple. Bibi Dong probably just saw him as a tool. Anyway, he'd play along. Hulaina, while undeniably gorgeous, was too sultry. She had that vixen vibe. Gu Han couldn't picture marrying her, spending his life with her. Maybe a fling with his senior apprentice sister wouldn't be too bad. Gu Han's thoughts wandered. Meanwhile, Qian Renxue was standing by the window, engrossed in a book, when she sensed Gu Han's gaze. but Gu Han was only 6 years old. His holy dragon bodybuilding had sped up his growth, making him taller and stronger, maybe 7 or 8 in appearance, but still a kid. On top of that, he was exceptionally handsome, like a pretty boy. Being attractive definitely had its perks. Qian Renxue was amused by the admiring gaze of such a cute and handsome little boy, and here, in the Pope's palace's library, Qian Renxue had a pretty good idea who Gu Han was. He intrigued her. She knew him as the waste with only 0.25 innate soul power, the subject of gossip in Wuhun city. Qian Renxue was dying to know why that proud, aloof woman had taken on such a waste as a disciple. It didn't fit her image at all. Curiosity piqued. Qian Renxue had planned to wait for Gu Han to approach her, but he never did, leaving her a little frustrated. After reading for a while, she grew restless. Kids were still kids. "Little brother, are you here to read as well? What's your name?" Deciding to take the initiative, Qian Renxue closed her book and returned it to the shelf. With a gentle smile, she approached Gu Han, her voice light and clear. "My name is Gu Han. And yours, big sister?" Curious as to why Qian Renxue would come to him, Gu Han marked his place in his book and looked up. "Just call me Schwer." Qian Renxue smiled, then her eyes widened slightly. "You said your name is Gu Han. Are you the Gu Han who became the Pope's disciple, the one everyone's talking about?" "Yup." Gu Han nodded, then gave a self-deprecating laugh. "Looks like you've heard I'm a loser, huh?" "You're not a loser. I know Her Majesty the Pope a little. She's a very proud woman. The fact that she accepted you means you must have something special. It's just that other people don't see it. They dismiss you because of your low innate soul power level. But most people are like that. They only see the flaws, not the potential." Qian Renxue's words were earnest, tinged with emotion. "What you said makes sense, sister." Gu Han agreed with her. Qian Renxue really was the most career-oriented woman in the Douluo Continent, even if Tang San had ultimately ruined her plans. Qian Renxue still did a solid job. "Since you agree, I'm guessing I'm right. There is something special about you, Xiaohan. Care to share your secrets?" Qian Renxue winked and smiled at Gu Han. "It's not exactly a secret." Gu Han chuckled. He didn't feel like hiding anything and told her the whole story of his apprenticeship with Bibi Dong. "So your martial spirit, the one with only 0.25 innate soul power, has some hidden talents. Even though you can't use it for direct combat, you can eat with it. And the food it digests feeds back into your body as soul power and life force. And using that, you found a way to evolve it by feeding it dragon meat and light attribute elixirs. That's amazing, Xiaohan." Qian Renxue was shocked and impressed that Gu Han had figured out a way to evolve his martial spirit. Gu Han was only 6 years old, but he was clever enough to find a way to evolve his martial soul. Of course, it relied on the martial spirit's unique characteristics, but discovering those characteristics and finding the right path for development was an accomplishment in itself. "Xiaohan, can I see your holy dragon martial spirit? I've never seen a beast martial spirit that can leave the soul master's body and exist independently in a substantial form." Fascinated, Qian Renxue was eager to see this spirit that could evolve through eating. "Sure." Gu Han had no reason to refuse. A smile played on his lips as he agreed, and so, in front of Qian Renxue, Gu Han summoned his holy dragon. A burst of golden light filled the air, about a meter long, with a pig-like body, though not quite as fat, covered in golden fur with patches of dragon scales. It had a round, dragon-like head, golden eyes, a mouth full of sharp teeth, 2 bumps on its head, and fan-like ears. A slender tail covered in golden scales, and 2 pairs of tiny golden dragon wings on its back. The creature materialized before Gu Han. Chapter 20, Changing the Plot, starting with instructing Qian Renxue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A holy dragon? How cute! Gu Han summoned the holy dragon, and it immediately chirped Lolo. Before toddling over to Qian Renxue's feet. Its golden, slit-like eyes stared up at her with curiosity, with its stubby legs, tiny tail, and miniature dragon wings. It hadn't fully transformed into a golden holy dragon yet, but it was way cuter than the old Luo Sanpao. It was adorably ugly. Seeing the holy dragon, Qian Renxue's golden eyes lit up, and she squealed with delight. She scooped it up and gently stroked it. As she petted it, the holy dragon tilted its head back, closed its eyes, and its little wings fluttered. Its tiny feet wiggled as it hummed contentedly. The holy dragon's goofy demeanor made Qian Renxue giggle, her laughter ringing out like a lark's song. Qian Renxue continued to pet the holy dragon, especially when she rubbed its belly. Wuhun, as the holy dragon's sole master, felt an odd sense of pleasure, like his whole body was tingling. The sensations Qian Renxue caused in the dragon's body were mirroring in his. This made Wuhun's handsome face flush. "Hey, Shuer, what were you reading?" Wuhun was worried that he might start moaning from the sensation, so he blurted out the question he'd been wanting to ask. He wanted to change the plot by influencing Qian Renxue, altering the world's trajectory and earning Tianyan points. In his mind, the best way to do this was to reshape Qian Renxue's worldview. He wanted her to replace Xue Qinghe later on and act differently. Like with Tang San, if Qian Renxue hadn't given him chance after chance, Tang San would have been done for a long time ago. Douluo Continent was a Western fantasy world, so if Wuhun could instill Eastern Emperor-like ideas in her, like changing Douluo Continent from a feudal society into a centralized one, that would seriously impact the world's trajectory and get him a ton of Tianyan points. And if Qian Renxue could learn science, understand productivity, and want to develop technology and improve the world, he'd get even more Tianyan points. But he didn't want to bite off more than he could chew, so Wuhun planned to take it one step at a time. "Xiao Han, why do you ask?" She'd been playing with the holy dragon, so Wuhun's question surprised her, and Qian Renxue tilted her head with curiosity. "Well, I want to figure out how to evolve the holy dragon further, so I'm reading up on martial spirits and soul masters. I'm curious about what a beautiful, gentle, kind, and generous person like you enjoys reading, Shuer. Maybe we'll have stuff in common." Wuhun said with a charming smile. Beautiful, gentle, kind, and generous. This kid was laying it on thick. Even though she was stunningly beautiful, Qian Renxue still enjoyed the compliments from a handsome and adorable younger boy. "I doubt you know much about the books I read. They're mostly this kind of thing," Qian Renxue said with a smile, holding the holy dragon with one hand and walking over to the bookshelf. She grabbed a book and brought it to Wuhun. Wuhun took the book and flipped through it curiously. It was about the art of governing a country. This must be Qian Renxue preparing to take Xue Qinghe's place later on, but the book was pretty superficial. Its descriptions of national governance, land issues, and the nature of society weren't as good as some of the historical novels he'd read in his past life. But it wasn't really the author's fault. Like Western countries in his past life, Douluo Continent didn't really record history or leave behind systematic historical books. There weren't any powerful emperors or ministers who wrote books on how to be a good ruler or govern a country for future generations. "Shuer, does this book teach people how to govern a country? Sounds intense. But some of this doesn't seem quite right." Wuhun began to point out what he thought were some of the book's misguided ideas. Qian Renxue had initially treated Wuhun like a child. When he said that parts of the book seemed off, Qian Renxue smiled, assuming he was too young to understand the nuances of governing. Understanding the issues and concepts in these books was far more complex than learning about martial spirits and soul masters. It involved countless people and the interests of different social classes. But as Wuhun spoke, Qian Renxue's expression grew serious. She realized that he was making sense. For example, the book said that Douluo Continent was currently in a feudal state. Because the emperor and the royal family couldn't govern the country alone, they needed to appoint nobles to help them rule. The nobles were like mini-emperors in their own territories. They had to fulfill their duties, pay taxes annually, and provide soldiers for wars, while the emperor respected their legitimate rights and interests within their territories. The territories technically still belonged to the emperor. On the surface, this seemed fair. It protected the emperor's interests. But Wuhun raised a point. Once the emperor appointed nobles, they were bound by the contract. After all, power had been decentralized, but how could they guarantee the nobles would abide by the contract? The more territories the emperor gave away, the weaker his own power became. Conversely, as the number of nobles grew and their power increased, they would unite and form alliances against the emperor. The nobles with enough land to sustain themselves would turn their territories into impenetrable strongholds, the emperor wouldn't be able to collect much tax, and these nobles would become kingdoms and principalities that were nominally affiliated but functionally independent. If the empire was governed according to the book, it wouldn't last long. The emperor and royal family would lose control. Eventually, the empire would become a facade and collapse. Qian Renxue was floored. Currently, the two empires of Douluo Continent, the Tiando Empire and the Xingluo Empire, were facing these exact problems. Then how do you think the country should be governed? Qian Renxue asked without thinking. After asking, she chuckled, wondering why she'd asked a child for a solution to such a complex issue. It was already impressive that he'd identified the problem. How could he possibly come up with a feasible solution? But Gu Han actually had a plan. He would follow the historical development of his previous life. Gu Han smiled. Swear, I actually do have an idea that might work. Since the book says that the emperor and the royal family can't govern alone and need the nobles, then we can create a new class that doesn't belong to the nobles. This class can take on the responsibilities of the nobles, to help us keep them in check.